Hi there, Richard Brook, Acupuncture and Yoga teacher here. So I'm at the fabulous Moinos Velos Detox and Retreat Centre out in Portugal, where I help out on the fasting programs, so teaching yoga and doing acupuncture, running workshops. I'm just off the site, just a few minutes walk off the site at the minute here at the Barragem Lake. So it's very beautiful, lots of very nice, harmonious energy for the body. And I thought today I'd talk a little bit about addiction. So a lot of the times I think people perceive us, who work in therapeutic roles as perhaps being a little bit distant from these types of patterns and habits. But believe me, we're human beings the same as anyone else. I've just gone through a particularly difficult period for a few weeks where I guess I observed in myself what could only be said to be some addictive patterns, if you like. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to speak about those. And we're going to look at it, maybe some of the physical, mental and emotional things that were going on with that. So the first thing is to look at the root cause, so you've got a manifestation, which would have been the addictive patterns, and we've got a root cause. And so for me, the root cause was stress, as it is a lot of these situations. So my own acupuncturist put this to me very well. He said that quite often stress can be seen as the distance between where you are and where you want to be. And I guess when you look at it like that, that's also applicable to any person in any situation. If there's a big gap between where they are and where they want to be, in whatever way that manifests for them personally, it can induce this state of stress that's going on in the body. And so my particular set of circumstances, if we go through the different levels, if maybe we look at the spirit level first of this particular disturbance, or this particular imbalance within me, is that I was in London, and for whatever reason at this time I didn't really feel like spending much time there. I kind of wanted to be out here in this environment, put a lot of energy into my work this year. I said got very stressed and run down, and I'm also very sensitive, and so being in an environment like this one is very healthy for me, because it kind of matches my own sensitivity. Where sometimes being in London with all the discordant energy there that's quite abrasive to me, it can get very stressful. And I kind of felt very burnt out with that. So I suppose you could say in some respects the stress was caused by the fact that my spirit and my heart wanted to be here, but physically I was there. So every day I was waking up, and to be honest, I was kind of counting the days until I could come back here. So there's quite a lot of stress going on, dreaming, envisaging being back here in this wonderful healing environment that we have here at the centre. So that was what was going on the spirit level. Actually, I'm going to skip the mental level. I'm going to go straight to the physical level. So the physical level of what happens when there's that degree of frustration going on is a little bit of inner conflict that goes on between what we think of as the wood element in the body, which is the element within you which gives you direction and vision. It comes actually from your liver and gallbladder, and your stomach and spleen, which sits next to it, which is kind of your earthen energy within, which kind of holds you steady and gives you a sense of nourishment and centeredness. So what I had going on there was this vision and this drive to want to get back here. So my liver and gallbladder, this wood element was in me like, Rich, I want to go, I want to get out of here. And then, but there was this need to try and earth into the actual environment where I was in London. So my stomach and spleen, which sits next to the liver and gallbladder, was feeling all this heat and agitation that was coming from the liver and just needed to try and kind of earth itself all the time. A bit like a child that's distressed, it wants to go to its mother, it wants to go to its centre. So for me to stimulate this sense of centering and nourishment and nurture, it was putting quite a lot of food in myself. So I was eating quite a lot, and what I'd go for was sweets. So sweets is the taste, the flavour, which stimulates this earth element. And because I felt like my earth was very rocky ground, I didn't really want to be on the ground where I was. By eating lots of sweets, it stimulates this earth element. Now I'm actually on earth that feels comfortable. Now I'm back in Portugal, I no longer quite feel the need to eat the sweets as much. So that's all kind of gone out the window now. And actually the other reason, just to go slightly on a tangent, is being very sensitive. Trying to eat a lot when I was back there is also a means of trying to dense up my body, to actually physically put on some weight to provide protection against some of the disharmonious energy from the world around. Now when I'm out here a lot and I work on a lot of the programs, I become actually quite thin, to be honest. It doesn't feel wrong. It's just that I don't need to protect myself against anything particularly. I'm in such a good time, and there's no real discordant heavy energies here. It's such a beautiful place. So I can get myself quite light, and I don't have to worry about energies that are coming in from outside that feel abrasive to me. But transplant that sense of lightness and openness into some of the environments in London that I've passing through in the last few weeks. And there's a sudden need, not to mention it was cold, to really try and desperately need to dense up, to get a bit of a buffer zone between me and the world around me. Okay, so the level that we missed out then is the mental level. So we did the spirit level. My spirit wanted to be somewhere, but it wasn't. We did the physical level of how my liver and gallbladder was creating that vision. Couldn't get there, so it created the frustration. But where I'm particularly interested in is the mental level which comes with this. So, I kind of got in these patterns of I'd come home at night and I kind of think, I would think, the mental level, I just want something to sedate me. I just want something to help me. I'm under a lot of stress at the minute. I'll just have another piece of cake. I'll just eat another chocolate now because I know that in the future, like in a few weeks, I'll get back to Portugal and everything will be okay. So I'm very interested in that. So that's the mental level accompaniment that I'd have, or one of them, is thinking it's okay to do this habit now because in the future, I'm going to be there and it will be able to help me. So we've got to look at this, because if you take this over an extended period of time, then obviously that becomes very problematic for me. It just happened over 6 weeks, and so while it's damaged my body, I don't feel very good at the moment, and it's taken a few days, maybe a week or two, to get back into the same kind of energetic fine-tunement that I like. Obviously, if this situation goes on for a long period of time, let's say you're in a job that you hate, every time you walk into your job, you feel like reaching into the cookie jar because of the stress. We need to look about what we're going to do with this. So I can see two options really. One is to very quickly get towards where your instinct is taking you towards. So for me, the instinct was to come here. So I was having these thoughts, oh God, I need to get back to Portugal, everything will be okay then. In the meantime, I'm going to let myself eat the cake. So, it's to try and amplify that process of following your instinct about where you need to go. Or the second way of dealing with it is, how can you bring into the present moment that vision of where you need to be in order to be centered? So while I actually needed to follow my instinct to come here, what was stopping me from sitting down on my bed at night or sitting down at the table and thinking, well, you know what, I've got this drive and this instinct right now that I want to eat a piece of cake, or I've got this desire to, because I feel distressed. And I'm going to do it because I know I'm going to be in Portugal soon and then everything will be fine. Whereas another way of managing it would maybe to think, okay, let's bring that sense of centeredness to me now. Let's bring those two things together. So in the present moment, I choose to feel comfortable. So it's a bit like doing a meditation, if you like, where you envisage where you need to be and you bring it into your present moment, so you can experiment with this. So it'd be a case of either doing things which remind you or resonate with that location where you need to be, or literally sitting and superimposing those two images on top of each other. So even though I had this physical distress going on, there's no reason why I couldn't sit there and then bring in and induce the same kind of sense of peace, a guided visualization, you like, about how I feel when I'm here in order to sedate that sensation. So that would have been another way of managing it. But your body is king in all these things. And if you're going to do things like that, you're going to use these types of meditation, you also need to not be ignorant of what your body's senses are also telling you. So it can be a management mechanism. Maybe you come home from work at the end of the day, you hate your job, but in 2 months you're going to get a better job. It's no good probably coming home every day and having to kind of really stress yourself out with the discipline of having to do this meditation to superimpose this future reality into your thought forms right now, because you also need to follow that instinct and desire to get there. But you'll find that when you actually start to put into place the actions that you need to take to move you towards your vision, you actually start to feel better anyway. So I often think of this analogy of when you're lost in the forest. So let's say you're in the middle of the forest, you can't figure out which way to go, you might start to panic. So that would be the moment of where you start hitting the sweets. But then you remember which way you need to go, or you become clear about what direction you need to go in, and then all of a sudden you feel much better. So you're in the same physical location, but now you know which direction you need to go in. All of a sudden you just start to feel much clearer and happier. And so it's very much the case for me that when I got closer and closer to the time of coming here, or started to implement the things in action that I needed to do, as in to walk out of the forest back into the light, I immediately started to feel light, which also helps then as well. So there you go. There's a few little, maybe a few little things you can try there. So the main thing is, don't deny your instincts. Trust your body, mind and spirit instincts to take you towards the things that you need. But in the meantime, you can also try these little guided visualizations of understanding what's going on in the mind, and also bringing things in to help you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.